Well, good evening. I thought I heard somebody out here. Well, I should introduce myself. I'm Dr. Oscar McMullan. I was a physician and druggist here in Elizabeth City for 40 years. I'll just make a random assessment here. Okay, but you all are apparently a healthy group of people with possibly a couple of notable exceptions. Y'all don't look like you need my services. I hope you'll agree that this is a great Victorian building. I built it in 1887. In its later years, it was well known in this community as City Cut-Rate Drugstore, famous for its orangeades. This started out as a two-story building. I added the third story in the early 1900s, but it looks pretty much today just like it did in my day. It is the only surviving metal front building in North Carolina. There are no others. It was renovated in 1987, but the front was badly damaged in 2003 when Hurricane Isabel came through. I'm glad to say it was restored back to its original glory. Now, I'd like to acquaint you with the premises. A doctor's office was there in the back. The room where you are standing now used to be the drugstore. To my right are the apothecary drawers. The original labels are still affixed to those drawers. You, sir, I am concerned you're standing dangerously close to the opium and laudanum. My fondest hope is that there are no drug fiends among us. Opium and laudanum used to be pretty widely prescribed and used. Ms. Lincoln, for example, was quite fond of laudanum. I think it is perhaps that use of opium and laudanum that best explains how it was possible for the ladies in this area to see and appreciate the bullfrogs way down yonder on the pasture table, jumping bank to bank. Dr. Harold Overman joined me in 1905 as pharmacist. After my death in 1918, he maintained this drugstore and later opened his own pharmacy on Main Street. The name may sound familiar to you. Overman and Stevenson Drugstore is still owned and operated by members of his family. The third story of this building I rented out. It was, for many years, a hotel. It was first the Lupton Hotel, then later the Carolina Hotel. And for a time, I understand, some of the rooms upstairs were rented out. I'm struggling to put this delicately. They were rented out, shall we say, by the hour. Now, I know nothing about this. I was just the landlord, you understand. So anyway, I want to tell you about medicine in the early 1900s. Jezebel!
Hi, sweetie. How are you tonight? Oh, you're good looking. Gosh, there's another handsome man. You lucky girl. Hey, cutie. You rather look familiar to me. See you later, boys.
Well, I apologize for that appalling display. I should like to file a brief disclaimer. I don't know her. In fact, I cannot imagine where she came from. Anyway, I wanted to tell you about a more serious subject. I was one of the founders of the original Albemarle Hospital, and it all came about after a really good cup of coffee. One morning in 1913, I was just finishing my morning cup of coffee when Dr. John Saliba came in. John approached me with an ambitious idea. He wanted to build the first hospital in northeastern North Carolina. Well, I'd had my caffeine, so I agreed to it on the spot. I thought it would be a good opportunity to show my appreciation to the people of the area and to provide them medical care close to home. So we formed a company of stockholders, and the original Albemarle Hospital was built in 1914. It was located on the Pasquotank River, where Riverwind Apartments are located today. At that time, it was certainly one of the best facilities of its kind. One of the interesting features, I believe, was the glass partition across the surgical theater. And I know we have a couple of volunteers here to have surgery performed in the dark, am I correct?
Anyway.
No one is brave enough to help science advance. That's always distressing to me. But that was the reason to utilize or maximize the lighting, if you will, for the surgical procedures. When the building was demolished, a portion of the dome was saved, and you can see it today atop the pavilion at Waterfront Park. You can even stand under it if you like. I'm glad we built the hospital when we did. In 1918, the influenza pandemic hit, killing millions of people throughout the world. Elizabeth City was not spared either. And unfortunately, I was one of its victims. I contracted the disease while treating influenza patients and died in 1918 at the age of 61. But I think that on balance, my life was well spent, and I have no regrets in that I believe I served this community and the people well. Now, if you will excuse me, I better go back to work. And beyond that, I trust all of you understand and appreciate I have a fractious, difficult, and perhaps morally challenged tenant to confront. I bid you all a good night and hope that all of you have a lovely evening. Good night, all. Jezebel!